Welcome, everybody. I'm Sue Landay from Trainers Warehouse. We're in our show and share event and talking today about the intersection of training and coaching. Prior to our beginning, I threw out a couple of questions that people are responding to in the chat. One is, what is coaching? And are you a coach right now, or here to learn, or where do you kind of come in the spectrum of thinking about the intersection of training and coaching? So, as always, I think of our show and share experiences as a shared conversation. I'm not a coach, and I don't feel like I'm an expert here. And so I really rely on all of you to participate, to share your thoughts so that we can all learn from one another, so that we get our voices just kind of in gear and going. I'm going to ask everybody to unmute, and I'm going to count down 3 to 1, and we're all going to say hello to each other, and in whatever language or however you'd like to try to break Zoom here, and see if we can all just kind of get our voices in action. So let's see. A few more people.
To live up to all of it.
Right.
I want to say before I begin,
a word. 3, 1. Hello.
Hi.
Good
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And I am getting some feedback from someone. I'm not sure who that might be, who's another conversation.
And I'm going to talk about those today. And I'm going to talk about them through the lens
that could
of my
be.
work.
All right. If you
with professional athletes for my work.
mute
It's going to be, as Bernard said, 25 minutes.
Lisa, is that you?
It's going to be.
Are you having someone maybe having a discussion behind you?
That was it. Thank you.
There we go.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Today, thank you. Some people can't do the camera because of either they're broken or their internet connection or whatnot. I get it. So thanks for those who are able to join us. All right. I want to start with a poll. And actually, before I do, let me just take a moment. I appreciate everybody chiming in on the chat. Let me just give that a quick glance. Yes, it will be recorded, Becky, and you will have access to it. It takes about a week for me to just kind of clear out all of the junk and get it going. And so it looks like for a lot of us, coaching may not be our primary task. So, which makes sense. We're all coming here as trainers from Trainers Warehouse, my Trainers Warehouse connections. So let me ask this training / coaching question, and give me just a nod if you can see that. What is your key challenge with respect to training and coaching? Is it determining when coaching is needed? Is it doing coaching yourself? Or developing coaching skills within your organization so that your people, your team can, coach and grow each other more effectively? And if you're answering other, please do share that in the chat so that we can try to address those. Okay, are we good? It looks like everybody has replied. So I'm going to share the results. Let me know if you can see them. Yes, okay. So it looks like our biggest challenges are both coaching employees ourselves, and also developing coaching skills within our organizations. Just looking over also at our chat. let's talk for a minute about, before we kind of dig into tools that we can use and sharing that information. How are you thinking about where training ends and coaching starts? Who would be good enough to kind of get us started on that? We all said hi to each other. We're best friends now.
So I'll go, Sue. Hi.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi from Arlington, Virginia, where our snow just melted finally. So I think of coaching as just like a completely different skill set. I mean, training, I think, is giving people skills they can use on the job, but coaching, I think of as through questioning, guiding people through their own thinking process so they can figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
Love that. Other thoughts? You captured it so concisely, Maureen, that everyone is just stunned into silence. Anybody else have a different perspective?
I think they have unique qualities, kind of like what the previous person had just shared. But I don't know that I think they always go hand in hand. Like you're training, but you're also coaching. It's like, using your sports analogy earlier, right? Like you're training for a marathon, but your coach is coaching you through it to give you that rah, right? To help you kind of facilitate how you're feeling and getting through all of those kinds of parts and pieces of the actual training.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
That's what I was thinking too, Karen. I think it was Karen.
Yep.
It's really bolstering that person and giving them, some people need that bolstering too. They have the skills, they have the material to train with, but they need that bolstering and that encouragement of that they can do it. So kind of coaching them through that process.
Thank you. Thank you, Rose. Any other, I have some tools that I do want to share that might be helpful. Any other thoughts just sort of about what coaching is for trainers?
This is Pamela from Atlanta. I, as a trainer here, start with building and giving people the tools that they need to be effective in their particular position. And so I would tend to think that coaching would begin as part of that training. So if I've shared some steps that an individual is to follow, and those steps are not being followed, well, at that point, I need to try to find out why. So it's more than just saying, this is step 1, step 2, step 3. But, if I'm not seeing those steps being executed, then I need to do a deeper dive to try to find out why and of course, correct the actions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think coaching is key, a key component actually in training, and it can begin as soon as the individual who, I'm typically training new employees, so it can start as early as during their orientation.
Got it. Great. That's helpful as well. Thank you. I wanted to share, I'm going to do a screen share because there are a few tools that we have that might also kind of help us frame the conversation that we can dig deeper into any of these, and you're welcome to ask me more questions about them and so forth. The first, so some of these that we can dig into, and I just did a search for coaching on our website because it also sort of helps me think about what some of the tools and resources are that we all can use. So there's the What's My Coaching Style. There's a facilitator guide and feedback. And this gets more to helping develop our team to coach rather than having those skills ourselves. As does this Get Fit for Coaching. So the What's My Coaching Style Facilitator Guide breaks my styles into being direct, spirited, considerate, systematic. And so that's one tool that we can use to kind of help develop our employees to be able to be more aware of their coaching styles as they move from, training to owning, as you guys have said, owning the information and trying to develop it and grow a little bit further. So I really like that one. Get Fit for Coaching is more of a game style, but also helps coaches become more aware of their tools and their resources. Some of these are about teams or about coaching for emotional intelligence or, really specific. The other tool that that we have that Trainers Warehouse developed is that's based on the it's based on the GROW coaching model. Are you guys familiar with that? I'm seeing some shakes. Okay, so
No.
GROW is G, goals, reality, kind of where are we right now? What are some of the options that we can think about? And what's the way forward? And that model is also used for, which is it? For the reveal coaching cards. That's, oops, hold on, I'm sharing my screen. I'm going to stop the share for a second. I don't know if you can see that. So this model has, 4 colors of cards that go along with that model as well. How can we grow? What's our reality? And what's the way forward? So going back to this tool, we have questions right here. So Sarah, let's give this a whirl and let's pick a question. So do you want to be in the GROW area, reality, options, or way forward?
Let's do options.
Okay. What if I had different assumptions? So that's one of our prompts. Another within, thank you, Sarah. Another within options, assumptions that might be limiting me. What could I do differently? Options I can explore. Or I may go to goals and say, what my favorite critic would think of my goals. So it's different ways to get at those 4 different areas of coaching. Or you can always say, surprise me, and it will go to any one of the 4. And the reason we have broken it out, I know a lot of you are familiar with our Thumball tools where you toss the ball and you respond to any prompt, is that we really wanted to give trainers the ability to focus on one or more of these. And so this can be a great tool, whether you're developing your own coaching practice or trying to help your employees grow with a tool like that. So those are 2 tools. There's also, is this helpful, you guys, to see some of this stuff? Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
So this is a tool called Cue Cards, and I'm gonna, so these are broken up into starter, discover, I'm trying to read these backwards, decide, action, thought shift, and prompt. Okay, and on the back of each of these is a conversation prompt. So, and also you'll notice that there's these like chili peppers, and they're different for different cards. So it's kind of like, how spicy a question is this? So let's say we'll take this one is a goal. And it says, in one short sentence, what do you want to accomplish and by when? So, tools like this can be a really effective way, again, either to help yourself or your employees to hone in and to kind of understand how they can be better coaches. All right, that was a bit of my show and tell. Ask me questions. Tell me if you'd like to see something more. Weigh in.
Hi, it's Amy. I have a question. When you use your cards, do you use them in large group, small group? What is your recommended size?
I'm going to throw this out to the group. Has anyone used any of these tools? Marie, you unmuted? I don't know if that was just a bleep.
Am I on mute?
No, what we can hear you. If you'd like to be muted, yeah.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. I came late to the party, but I have to. I'm very interested. I have an opportunity to run a workshop. It's 600 people, and we're breaking them into smaller groups of 100. And so I'm looking for, and I'm running performance management and some other things. So I'm looking for an activity that I can work with a very large group and make it engaging, fun, and have, some worthwhile, engaging with the purpose.
Mm-hmm. Got it. All right. So let me go back to Amy's question about small or large group. I'm going to be honest. I haven't run this with small or larger groups. I could do two things. I can put you in touch with the people who have developed the tools. I also think, though, that with a tool like this, I feel like they're versatile enough that you could use that in any ways. You could divide your groups into the different categories, whether it's goal, way forward, and talk about the kinds of questions they think can be most effective, and share among that. Try to answer those questions themselves. Talk about what's most effective and what's less effective, and just get the group. I think that with any of this stuff, I am guessing that breaking people into smaller groups to have more intimate conversations is always going to be a better start, even if after that you then bring people together and enlarge in the conversation and the learning experience.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They're gonna be in rounds at tables, and I'm gonna go ahead and have them do small group discussions. So this may be a very viable approach for me. Thank you.
Yeah, the other thing about that, I don't know, I'm doing another little show and tell here. I hope you won't mind. We have another tool for small group discussions called it's called a tabletop whiteboard. Whoops, sorry. Of course I can't type. So we often equip our tables with a tool like this. It's not huge, but it lets people, it lets people record their small group conversations, which serves a couple of purposes. One is within the table, it allows people to know that they've been heard. And you know how often in a small group, the team will assign one person to kind of be their recorder and their voice in sharing with the large group. And it gives you all a common visual to think about, is this working how I want it to? Can you guys see this? Did I do that right?
I don't see it.
You weren't seeing it. Oh, hold on. Screen share. What did I do wrong? Okay, now you're seeing it. I messed that up. So here it is. That gets people basically, able to just see how their thoughts have been interpreted. And so for small group conversations, we find that to be a really useful tool. And, it's funny, we're all so used to our devices and taking notes on a phone, and it's such a personal thing. So I'm always a fan of flip charts and notepads and tabletop whiteboards and so forth. I think that they're always good tools. Other thoughts or questions? Anything you'd like to see more of or less of? Anybody who's used any other tools for coaching or any other approaches that you have seen successful in your organizations?
As trainers, we don't like to
I'll
speak
go,
up because we don't
Sue.
want to talk over.
Right.
Okay, so let's have Maureen and then Amy, okay?
So I've done a lot of training in coaching. And again, I found the biggest challenge was just first figuring out how coaching was different from other tools. And one thing that really helped me is to learn the way I think of it is we use coaching for development when people are kind of already performing at, the requisite level, but they want to maybe develop their presentation skills or their analytical skills so someone can coach them kind of through that. And then we use feedback when people are not meeting a performance standard. And that's much more directed. That's where, as the manager, I know where this person needs to get, and I use various tools, which could include training, to get them up to that level. So coaching is a lot more open-ended, directed by the person being coached. That's how I think of it.
Love that. So we need to add to our training, our coaching, and our feedback, all kind of working together.
Yeah.
Amy, you're gonna chime in as well?
Well, as trainers, we don't always want to jump in on and speak because we hear ourselves speak so much. So, and these might be tips and tricks that you already know, but with coaching, I break it down into a couple of different areas. And the first thing is you have to have a sense of caring. Not everybody is a coach. So if you don't have the desire to coach and want to invest the time, it's not something that you can just assign to someone. Second thing is time. If you do not have the time to coach, you probably shouldn't be starting it. Because a coach is someone that has to have the trust of the team player. So a good coach has ample time. The third part is you have to be able to listen. And sometimes listening means being quiet and hearing and taking notes and being able to paraphrase without having to think of what is the next thing I'm going to say to fill the space. And listening is not always the easiest task, but for a good coach, it's fine-tuning your ear to hear what isn't being said. And then finally, you have to lead with some curiosity and to ask some probing questions to ensure that the person knows the direction that they should be going. Training tends to give you the nuts and bolts and step by step, and coaching allows the person being coached the opportunity to develop those skills a little bit on their own, but also to be able to give them the insight that they are doing well on the process or to redirect where needed. And then don't assume everybody is at the same level as you are. Sometimes you have to start coaching a little bit lower. Sometimes you need to start a little bit higher. Sometimes people have had many, many sessions where they know that they can coach and that they can be developed and that they can lead their team. Sometimes people don't always have that intrinsic skill set, and they need to have a starting point that's maybe a little bit like, let's talk about your communication skills, not how you're communicating, but What are your skills? So it depends on meeting that person at their specific level. So it's really a fine art, coaching is. And like I said, it takes time and it takes energy and it takes the ability to not say anything for a while.
That's
Just my take.
really, really helpful. Wait, before you go away, I was also interested as you were talking about, listening, sense of caring. I noticed in the background, in Maureen, I think it was Maureen's background of your image, you had an EQ card deck, like teaching people awareness and sensitivity and listening skills and all of that are, yes, so such important components. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I did just put into our chat, I don't know if you all are familiar or have heard Atul Gawande, I'm probably mispronouncing his name, TED Talk about the importance of coaching. He's a surgeon and he talks about, he starts off, and I was going to show a little bit of it, but I don't think we have time and you can look at it on your own. But a musical coach working with someone over a certain amount of time, and then they're done and they want them to kind of go on their own. And then there's the different model of sports coaches who have a coach of the whole time they're playing, right? And in our professional worlds, there's sort of this assumption that we go to school or that we go to training and then we're done. But the surgeon actually he has to coach to come in, paid a coach to come in and watch him in his surgeries, who's not an expert surgeon. And the things that he saw and was able to find and give feedback on, it was so enriching. So you're right, going back to what Amy said about being able to listen, to meet people where they are, to to be aware of what the needs are and know that they need to have a sense of openness to be able to receive it as well, are just, very critical. They are sort of the make or break. And Maureen is sharing his book, Checklist Manifesto. So yes, he's somebody we should all be familiar with. We are coming up on our half hour, and I really appreciate those who have contributed, other people who can share an experience or ask a question. I'd like to welcome your thoughts before we wrap things up today.
Hi, Susan. This is Shanor. Great to be here with you all today. One thing that you hit on just now, and you actually modeled it earlier, is the fact that you don't have to have deep expertise in order to be a coach. You don't have to, when I say deep expertise in the thing that person is working on. So like you mentioned with Atul, he brought in someone that was not a surgeon, but they were still able to give feedback. Now, that's not to say that everyone can be a coach. It's just to say that just because you don't have deep expertise in that particular area does not mean that you cannot add value to people's world through your coaching and questioning.
Absolutely. And I think that Amy pointed that out also, that part of it is listening and helping someone work through their own thoughts and work things out on their own, which I guess is kind of what psychologists do also, right? Another area that I'm not an expert in. But yeah, tremendous. Yeah. Any other thoughts? This is actually, I was saying when we first hopped on the phone to Karen that not being an expert in this, I had absolutely no idea where this conversation would go. And I feel like it's been kind of interesting, and I've gotten a few good tips, and I appreciate the time to be here with all of you. So thank you.